Welcome back to Breaking Bank. So before the break, we were talking with Shell Israel about wearables and how payments are disappearing. And, of course, Ron Shevlin chimes in over Twitter and says, and what just stops any idiot from walking out the door of the retailer without having to pay? Well, the simple thing is, Ron, if you have your phone, you can't walk out without paying, because it's all encoded into that. You walk out of the store with some goods in your hand and you're going to pay because we know you walked out of the store with those goods in your hand. It's technology, dude. Ron, I don't know if Ron's still writing checks, but we'll hear from him on a moment of snark shortly. But listen, before we get back to Shell, one of our sponsors, Luxoft, who is supporting Breaking Banks in the show, they're an organization. Where are you guys based out of, actually, Pierre?
Hi, so Luxoft, as you probably have seen, is a company with several development centers. We're headquartered in Switzerland. Our main development centers are in Eastern countries, so Bulgaria, Romania, Ukraine, Russia, but we've opened more recently Vietnam and Mexico.
So, we were talking before the break with Shell about how, data and context is changing things. You guys are using visualization. You've got this new framework, Luxoft Horizon. How is visualization changing the ability of organizations to manage risk, for example? How's this becoming an important tool?
Yeah, so maybe before we drill down into the added value of technology here, let me just give a bit of context, right? If you look at what Basel committees and obviously regulation have been doing in that space, they realize that one of the patterns of the industry is that, and compared to other industry sectors, we still look at data in a bidirectional matrix, like using Excel kind of thing. And most of the reporting today is still ending up at the level of where we print out reports or export into Excel, right? So the industry and especially the finance.
So it's not very dynamic. You can't actually really change something in real time and see how that affects the performance of the business.
Yeah, exactly. And if you look at that pattern, one of the ways to overcome that is technology. We have had an opportunity recently to meet with the organizer in charge of the GSIP's regulation, so governance on risk and risk data aggregation and risk reporting. One of the main things they're trying to do is push for a unique UI and user experience to cover all of the different risks. And you see, these sort of regulation are going to push vendors and technology vendors, but also service providers to go into the same direction, which is provide a more dynamic, a unique, with good user experience way of navigating risk data in order to change the whole governance on risk and the whole way of reporting, but also making decision on risks in general.
So maybe, Fabrice, I'll ask you a question. For organizations that are used to dealing with this sort of information bidirectionally, a risk officer gets a report at the end of the month and then sort of, determines how that should affect policy or the rules moving forward. How is this changing the culture of organizations you're working with now, having sort of this real-time immersive interface that, gives them risk feedback in real time?
Yeah, so it's indeed a dramatic changes for these organizations and for their processes, in fact. So, the first thing, culturally, as you're asking about that, it has had to open the eyes to many of these people along the whole production chain that a lot of things could be improved. So it really spans the whole scope of the production chain, from data quality to the ability to aggregate properly, and also to speed up a lot of the processes, because you're very right. It was done on a monthly basis, or in the best case on a weekly basis. So all these reports that were generated, when they were produced for the board or the various committees on the paper, they were based on data that were like a week old. So accuracy that is now imposed by the various regulators, and visibility and transparency can only be achieved by revamping the infrastructures, etc. And by the way, it's a new thing as well. In the recent regulations, the regulators have put some principles that are in fact imposing some principles on the IT infrastructure, which is quite new and causing quite a big headache to the bank.
Yeah, well, it's it is culture. I think it's, we were talking earlier about Lending Club, who's going to be on the show next week, I think, either next week or the week after. And, Lending Club, one of the things we recognize from them is that they have a much lower default rate than traditional lenders. But because they have this data-driven approach to risk decisions on lending, and they're tweaking these settings and managing this on a minute-by-minute basis rather than at the end of the week or the end of the month. So data visualization is going to become, and data visualization and culture, and the ability to react to this data is going to become a real key differentiator. Look, Fabrice and Pierre, thank you for joining us. I know you guys are listed on the New York Stock Exchange. Your code is LXFT. But where can people find out about the Horizon, visualization tool?
Yeah, it's on the website. It's clearly available. It's under the financial services section. You will see various aspects, including Horizon there.
Okay, great. Well, thanks for joining us, and thanks for your support of Breaking Banks.
Thank you.
Thank you. You're welcome. Pleasure.